We've seen all of these series from Disney Plus that, Marvel ordered up when they were launching Disney Plus. They were just going to be so incredible. And almost all of them were massive failures, especially when you look at how much they spent. Something like Secret Invasion cost over $200 million for 6 episodes. But maybe more embarrassingly, the She-Hulk series, 9 episodes, about, 30 minutes apiece, a sitcom that cost $25 million per episode, $225 million for the first season. And even though somehow there were still some people, after all the fan backlash, after the terrible reception, really the biggest sin of it all, beside the cringe and the woke nonsense.
Oh, because I'm better than you?
The biggest sin of that show was it was a comedy that wasn't fucking funny.
Holding your farts.
There's no way they could do a season 2, right? Yet there was still speculation, still reports that season 2 is in the works. That has all changed, specifically because the star herself, Tatiana Maslany, came out and just admitted, yeah, I wouldn't hold out hope for this thing. It looks like we blew our budget on the first season, and Disney doesn't want a season 2.
This is huge, John. I think I'm jealous. Is that what I'm feeling?
We blew our budget in season 1 would imply that was like the budget for multiple seasons or something, as opposed to just the season 1 budget. But this should not come as a surprise, but it almost is that there's some real reality to this, because normally what we see from Marvel, they double, triple, quadruple down. This would actually be something where they didn't double down on failure, which would be the first time in a while we haven't seen that from them.
Yeah, it's weird because, I mean, again, I'm so spotty on a lot of these, but isn't this the one where they brought Kevin Feige's name into the last episode or something?
I possess the most advanced entertainment algorithm in the world, and it produces near perfect product.
Isn't this the one where they did the breaking of the fourth wall
yeah.
and all that shit? Mm-hmm. and went full on that was so fucking terrible. And so this is such a strange one that they won't stand by. This isn't the biggest disaster they've had, is it, in terms of ratings and internet discussion and social media? I feel
it's one of the most embarrassing. The ratings were pretty middling for them, but at the cost per episode, and it was getting mocked, remember?
Yes.
And
yes.
This was very much, this entire writer's room was full of women. The entire writer's room, they wanted to show people, they wanted to fucking clap back at fans. They were attacking fans constantly. So this was one of the bigger disasters they had from that perspective.
This is pathetic.
Oh, give me a second.
And people that have reached out to Marvel, again, this is what I said, Jermaine Lucier happened to be involved with the Ray thing, saying that's not delayed. He confirmed that this is not happening at Marvel. They talked to their insiders. They basically said that with the restructure, with the chaos that's going on over at Marvel right now, retooling so many things, that She-Hulk season 2 basically is a forgotten thing. That's not going to happen because of budgetary constraints.
I just don't know how you can move forward with something like the other projects are moving forward with, but this is the one that gets the chopping block, is what's confusing to me. You know what I mean? But I'm sure there's more internal stuff that's going on. But it's if this entire series symbolizes what Marvel was moving into. You know what I mean? This was symbolic of everything they were moving into. So if this is going away, it just has to speak volumes about the fact that they are crumbling from within, just like we've been saying for a while now. And again, I do take pride in the fact that you could say what you want about the fact that we cover this stuff all the time. Disney just had their worst year in recent memory. Marvel just had its worst year ever. Star Wars is irrelevant. Pixar does not command the respect it once commanded. That is not because of us. It's because we were right about the things we were calling out, though. We have been right about Disney. We have been right about telling you what was going on with Disney. And now we see this whole thing is this house of cards that they have had is collapsing right before their very eyes.
Don't screw this up, Walters.
Yeah, and really, when you're looking at all of these things that they've done on Disney Plus, but you can't do 9 episodes of a sitcom for $225 million. That's insane when you think about it from that perspective. But it's so CGI heavy. Obviously, anytime she's on screen, it's CGI heavy. Plus, all the different people they paid to write this show for some reason. And remember, this is the same show where she was out there slamming Bob Iger during the strike. the writers were out there complaining that they weren't getting enough residuals for the show that nobody watched. It was a complete and total failure. So maybe that's part of it too. They just don't want those people involved anymore. Maybe that's potentially could be a factor, but certainly seems like we've seen the last of the She-Hulk series. I'm sure that this bitch is going to pop up in other places in the MCU, but in terms of the show itself, looks like it's RIP, which is actually good news.
Knew it.
Obviously.
That is good news. And yeah, I mean, if you remember, She-Hulk, because when we were covering this, especially like on Friday Night Tights, She-Hulk, I have never seen a show that had more fake accounts that were getting mega traction like She-Hulk. You remember that? Like these accounts that had no following whatsoever, yet they had all these viral tweets. And this is before Elon bought it, I think. Yeah, this is before Elon bought it. So you had all these like random stan accounts that had like no real following, and they were fairly new creations, and they were getting like 100,000 likes on their She-Hulk tweets and stuff like that. And it's like, this is not, something is going on here. This is not legitimate. You know what I mean? It was getting more, they were getting more traction than the official She-Hulk accounts. And that's the game you got to play. That's fine. But just don't act like you're not playing that game.
Now, I am going to publicly destroy you.
Morning.